Well, hello. Hope you're doing okay, and welcome back to 9 Years in China. Uh, I've been really busy, and it is hard for me to keep making these videos sometimes. You got to have some inspiration, and I'm sorry that I haven't done one in a few weeks. Um, but if you follow my channel, you know I was in China for a long time, and I've got to see and do lots of things. And today, one thing I've never really talked about, uh, as a foreigner working in China and as a teacher, they tell us things. They don't order us not to talk about certain things, but there are things they don't like us to talk about. Religion, which I never like to talk about. Even in America, I don't like to talk about religion. It's just too much controversy. But in China, they really don't want you to talk about Tibet, which I know nothing about Tibet. They don't like you to talk about Taiwan at all. And Tiananmen Square, there's 3 T's there that they really don't want you to talk about. And on the school contracts that we had, there's often a paragraph talking about how we are not supposed to interfere with certain things of Chinese life. And they use the words should and stuff like that. It's not a direct order, but they kind of let you know that you just shouldn't do it. You should be really careful about what you do and say, or you'll get a quick trip back to your home country. Because they can tear down your contract anytime they want, even though it is a contract. You know what I mean? So anyhow, I always refrain heavily from talking about religion, and most Chinese people are agnostic anyhow. Their religion's not a real aspect in their life, even though they may like to go to the parks with the temples. There is some history there that they still will feel close to, whether they're an actual believer. To be a Christian, it's not a taboo, but and I've been to lots of churches in China, visited them. I'm not a real religious person, but I photographed, places and photographed weddings and stuff in China. But it's just kind of a gray area for them. The Chinese really don't like you to gather up socially with things that are not promoted by the party. It is what it is. It's a communist country, and everything's ran by the government, ran by the party. So I was always careful. The only times I might ever mention Taiwan, my best friend is from Taiwan, or his wife is from Taiwan, and there are a few things that's happened during my life that Taiwan has affected, and we talk about when, like the disease SARS, when it came out, I knew somebody in Taiwan that was telling me that something's going on, and this was before it had a name, but people were getting sick and dying, and something was going on, and she was wearing a mask then every day, just to be safe. So when we got in that certain discussion, I would mention that then. Tiananmen Square, I've only got into one confrontation over somebody about Tiananmen Square, and it was brutal. And I had to lay the law down on a lady about that. And I just basically said, well, at least our government doesn't go and try to kill you with our tanks. And I kind of ended it with that after it was all said and done. So I skated around lots of issues, but I didn't like talking about them anyhow. So with me, it never I never had any activist position or, anything like that, to want to talk about stuff like that. I wanted to talk about what my students wanted to talk about, like at English Corners, and sometimes things would come up. But usually censorship, huge. Oh my gosh. And I still have problems with a few of my really close students. They don't realize how much they're being censored, and sometimes I have to feed them a website maybe to look at, or a news article to read, if that ever comes up. Then there's most all the young people realize how censored they really are, and they just live with it because there's nothing they can do about it. And usually when those discussions came up, we were in the privacy of my house. Maybe we cooked a big dinner together, and we were talking about today's classes and all this kind of stuff. And eventually we might get on to a subject that would be taboo, maybe outside my house. But they want to know, understand, as free as it may look on TV and whatnot, the Chinese people cannot have Flickr and YouTube and Facebook and things like that, unless you can get a VPN. And even then, they got to be really careful. WeChat and QQ Messenger is monitored, owned by Tencent Corporation, which is monitored by the government. So everything they do and say can be monitored somehow. And they live with a lot of things that they don't realize that they're not. We have freedom, and they think they do until we start comparing, and then they realize sometimes how little freedom they do have. But for the most part, they live a happy life, and maybe a little mundane, but they live a good, happy life, close to the families and things like that. They work really hard. But going back to the original subject, is teachers, there were things that they would tell us not to do, not to talk about, and you just got to be gracious while you're there, I had such a wonderful time being there, and the students still call me. I've been gone from China now a year and a half. And every day I got people that send a WeChat message to me, and I talk to them, and they're talking about their hopes for the future, the job they're trying to get. I have one girl that I've known for over 10 years, calls almost every day, right before midnight their time, just to read a little bit of English to me. So I have a big love for a part of it, and I have a big conflict with the way the government handles the people and how they try to handle us foreigners. And as far as us foreigners over there, there's just not a lot you can do, or you're going to get on a blacklist somehow. And heaven forbid, if you're a foreigner in Hong Kong right now, the bullseye is really on Hong Kong. But yes, to answer a lot of you guys' questions, they kind of guide what we're supposed to talk about, especially in class. And outside of class, you just got to be careful who you're talking to, know who your friends are, and if they're party people, they're going to go tell the party. Whatever comes out of your mouth is going to be repeated somewhere else, and you got to be careful about that. And anyhow, I hope you're having a good time. I got some stories will be coming out of Zhenjiang, Jiangsu province here soon. So we'll look forward to those. And I'll see you soon. Okay? 9 years in China. Don't forget to subscribe. I still would like to have your subscriptions. Okay? And take care. Have a great day.